Hello and welcome back, you guys, to some more One Piece spoilers. Today we're going to be discussing Shanks and his crew in the movie film Red. I will try my best not to divulge any information about the plot of the movie. I am simply going to be tackling Shanks and his crew's feats in the movie, because they're pretty dang hype. So without further ado, my name is Sai, and let's get right into these spoilers. So, first up, we're going to start with the big man himself, Shanks. We learn that Shanks was found by Roger and Rayleigh when he was only 1 year old. He was stuffed into a treasure chest that was stolen by Roger during the God Valley incident. And this is a big piece of information here, because beforehand, a lot of people were speculating, oh, Shanks might be a celestial dragon, he might be a pirate, who's his father, we just don't know yet. But now that we know that Shanks was found during the God's Valley incident, this leads more credence to Rox being his dad, or even a celestial dragon. And the reason I say that is because what happened at God's Valley was that Roger defended a celestial dragon ship from Rox D. Xebec. So who did Roger plunder that treasure chest from? We don't quite know yet. And it also does bring us to the question of, why was Shanks stuffed in that treasure chest? Was he a stowaway? Did he have an abusive parent per se? We just don't know. But this does give a point to the people who were speculating that Rox or celestial dragons are his parents. So, next up we have Shanks' bounty. 12 years ago, during One Piece Chapter 1, his bounty was 1.004 billion berries, which is pretty dang high, right? It's really suspicious if you have a pirate with over 1 billion berries visiting a small town like Windmill Village. And also, I thought his bounty was pretty cool as well, because if you just flip the numbers around, you would almost get the bounty he has in the current story, which is 4.089 billion. Next up, it says Shanks is known as the killer of color of observation Haki, which is a crazy freaking title, right? Because beforehand, we were like, oh, it's red-haired Shanks, you know, it's Akagami no Shanks. But apparently, other people are like, yo, this is the killer of observation Haki. Because it goes on and says he can kill or control one's own breath, and he doesn't let his opponents see the future with future sight Haki. And this is pretty big, because back in chapter 1055, you know, when he was shooting that Wi-Fi Conqueror's Haki over to Aramaki, the reason why he was paralyzed isn't just because Conqueror's Haki, but it might have been this killer observation Haki as well. Or I don't know a better term to put it, like, is this Conqueror's Haki, is it observation? We just don't know. But either way, Shanks can legit negate observation Haki. You think you can see into the future? No, Shanks is gonna stop that right then and there. And if you couple that along with the fact that Shanks can most likely use his observation Haki while negating yours, that is an insane feat. We, as the audience of One Piece, always suspected that Luffy, you know, capped out at Haki. You have observation Haki, then you have future sight, you have armament Haki and Rio, Conqueror's Haki, and then Conqueror's coding. But now it looks like Shanks is whipping out something even above all of that. So Luffy still has room to grow with this Haki, which is a crazy thing to think about since we are in the final saga of One Piece. It's like, yo, the ceiling just keeps on being raised. And it goes on and says Shanks' Conqueror's Haki is very powerful. We all knew that. Shanks can also use his fiery or burning sword against his enemies. So yes, Griffin can be lit on fire, which is really funny because going back to the Road to Laugh Tale, I believe Volume 2, Oda went on and discussed a bunch of graded swords, and he even listed Shanks on there as well, but he put him under the category of ungraded or unknown swords. And Shanks' Griffin, now that we know that it can withstand his immense Conqueror's Haki and also be set ablaze, it's like, yo, this is a supreme grade sword. This is one of the 12 for sure. And now I'm just curious, does this sword set on fire because that's how it was crafted? That's how it was always meant to be? Or is this potentially another crazy, you know, Haki ability that Shanks might be pulling out? But yes, Shanks can set his sword ablaze. Not like he really needs it, right? He's already very powerful. Another crazy thing to think about as well is that this is the man who was the rival of Mihawk. It's like, bro, like, if Shanks can do this, and he's still clashing with Mihawk and rivaling him, and Mihawk is still the world's strongest swordsman, it's like, yo, like, what can Mihawk do? Like, start listing his abilities. Every time Shanks gets a glow up, Mihawk gets one as well, since they were rivals. And there's also another character that shines even brighter as well because of this. And that character is Marshall D. Teach, Blackbeard. Even though it was like 12 years ago, that was still a man that gave Shanks his scar. So it's like, bro, how did Blackbeard do that? What does Blackbeard have underneath his belt to allow him to hurt this man and potentially make him go to the Reverie and talk about him? So yes, the Shanks hype is real, but that also hypes up inadvertently Mihawk as well as Blackbeard, so just keep that in mind. So now, on to Oda's final note about Shanks, and it says, Shanks has his own plans for the new era, and I am really curious to see what Shanks actually envisions for the future. Because throughout the series and throughout all the time we've known Shanks, he is kind of tiptoed down the middle of piracy and helping the Marines, or at least, you know, garnering respect from them. Like Sengoku and Garp, they respect Shanks. The Five Elders granted him an audience. But at the same time, he destroys bad pirates like Kid and, you know, maims him, takes his arm even. But he also saves pirates like Luffy, and he saves civilians like Momonosuke and Hiyori from Aramaki. And it's like, bro, like, what is Shanks' true goal? It seems like he does believe in the Marines to an extent, but only when they're doing the right thing. When they're going after innocent people or people that help others, Shanks isn't a big fan of it. So after learning all about Shanks from this and the movie spoilers, which I won't go into, it really hits me that Shanks inherently is a good guy. So next up we have his second in command, Ben Beckman. Ben flippin' Beckman. And the first note says he is Shanks' right-hand man, which we already knew, but he also has superb combat effectiveness and agility. Yo, that is crazy to me, because he's like a middle-aged man, right? Like, he's a middle-aged man, he has a pistol, and we never really knew what his file style would look like. But now with this information, we now know that he leans more on the speed and agility side of combat. And I'm really curious what the superb combat effectiveness actually means. Is he over here like counting his steps and breaths? Maybe making sure that every attack he pulls off is successful and worth it? I'm not too sure, but it sounds really freaking cool. And from all the SBSs and all the times that Oda has talked about Ben Beckman, it really does seem like Ben stands head and shoulders above the rest of the crew. It goes on and says he is a well-deserved vice captain who silently supports with a deep attitude behind the crew and also loves loneliness. He is good with hockey, and his rifle bullets are so powerful that they can penetrate the bodies of his enemies. And I also read another spoiler, but I don't know if it was confirmed or not, but Ben Beckman's bullets actually are a different color. So that means that Ben can actually coat his bullets in hockey, which, if that is the case, then that explains why Kizaru back in Marineford paused and threw his hands up when Ben pointed his pistol at him, because these bullets are infused with hockey, and not to mention that hockey is pretty dang potent and it can pierce most of his opponents. Hey you guys, it's Sai from the future, coming to you with another spoiler about Ben Beckman that I did forget about. But it says Ben Beckman shows armament hockey in his hands and can take shots easily. See, this could mean a couple of things, right? It's either Ben Beckman, you know, over here throwing fists left and right, or his speed is so crazy he can just coat his hands in armament hockey and just start catching it as if it was the Matrix or something. That is nuts to me that Ben Beckman is so fast and so durable that he can perform that feat. The next red haired pirate on the list is Yasopp, Usopp's dad. And he has a dope title, man. His title in the crew, and I guess his epithet in general, is called the Chaser. And it is frightening. Even though he is separated from his family, he still misses his son. Usopp is also proud of his father's path and has a longing for it. His sniper skills are superb. He never misses his target. He can also use hockey. And another thing that isn't on this one as well is I also read that Yasopp is constantly seeing the future. It's not like Katakuri where he just activates it for a brief second, or he can only activate that or Armament Haki at once. Yasop apparently can always see the future, and that's why he has the title of Chaser, because no matter where you think you're gonna move, Yasop is always one step ahead of you, and his bullets or whatever he's firing is also there waiting for you. And that is a crazy thing to think about, that Yasop, Usopp's dad, has better observation haki than Yonko Commander 1 Katakuri. It's not even like throwing shade his way, because I love Katakuri. It's just like, bro, how is Yasop doing this? With skills that crazy, I almost don't blame him for leaving the village. Woo! He would be wasting it in Syrup Village. It is insane what Yasop can do, and I'm really curious if Usopp will ever inherit that latent ability within him. Will he ever awaken this crazy observation future sight that his father has? And now the last red-haired pirate on our list, we have Lucky Roux. He is the chef responsible for the diet of the red-haired pirates. Even in battle, he has a big stomach with flesh and bones propping up his cheeks, and his broad body is his weapon. That sounds absolutely ridiculous, but we'll keep on going. On weekdays, he likes to joke, and when he arrives on the battlefield, he is a pirate who can take risks for the sake of adventure. What am I reading? He is good at using haki and attacks as if he was a bowling ball. His muscles in the legs are very strong and surprisingly flexible. And yo, Lucky Roux, man, I was always wondering how he was gonna fight, because for some reason, whenever you think of the red-haired pirates, they always just wield pistols, right? Like, Lucky Roux shot the mountain bandit all the way back in chapter 1. So I was like, yo, Lucky Roux is probably just, you know, going around shooting pistols willy-nilly. That's not the case. Lucky Roux is over here fighting like Bob from Tekken. This guy is insane. All the red-haired pirates are insane. And one thing that I don't know if you guys noticed it, but all the red-haired pirates thus far that we know of do not have devil fruits. No, they just have insane freaking haki. Shanks recruited a group of dads that have nothing but insurmountable haki. Having a crew with feats these crazy and hype this insurmountable, how does Shanks not have a higher freaking bounty? Now I'm just like, bro, like, what is the world government doing? Like, put this man above Big Mom. I know bounties don't equal power, but it's like, bro, like, Shanks is a menace. Like, this guy is crazy. And not to mention, like I said, I don't want to bring up a lot of film red spoilers for movie plot lines and etc. But I'm gonna drop this small tidbit here. But Shanks's haki is so crazy that Fujitora and freaking Kizaru were like, yo, we're dipping. Like the admirals, 2 admirals, were scared of Shanks's haki. We thought, bro, we thought Ryokugyu back in Wano was like, you know, doing it. He was like, oh, maybe he's just the weakest admiral. Not the case. Not the case. 2 admirals, Kizaru and Fujitora, did not want to mess with Shanks. That is how crazy his haki is. So yes, Shanks is so far, based off of these texts alone, already looks like he's standing head and shoulders above the rest of the Yonkos. And I'm excited for the movie, man. I've been listening to the soundtrack on Spotify. You should totally check it out. And man, this movie is going to be phenomenal. But with all that being said, thank you guys for stopping by and watching this video. If you have the second to spare, please consider dropping a like and sub down below. It would really mean a lot. And if you have the time, please comment down as well. Let me know what you think about Shanks and his crew, the feats, the killer, you know, negation haki that Shanks has, his crewmates, and etc. Because there's so much to divulge into here. And I already shouted out a lot of people already, but I'm gonna throw it back to my man Parvision. If Shanks's blade is actually based off of haki, that would be insane. But there is also a pretty big chance that it could just be like Brook's blade, because Brook's blade was crafted by the Long Arm tribe, and they made it to where it could, you know, chill to the bone, and that's why it has its icy characteristic. So is Griffin like that? Or is Griffin made by Shanks infusing his haki in some way into his sword? We don't know yet, but I'm just throwing it out there. Anything's possible, and I think it's a pretty cool theory as well. But I'll catch you guys next time on chapter 1057 spoilers. I have a couple of discussions with some pretty cool YouTubers in the works as well, so stay tuned for those. But with that being said, y'all, I'll catch you guys later. My name is Sai. Thanks for watching.